Barry Gibb finally tells the truth about Cliff Richard when he is 79 years old. Barry Allen Crompton Gibb was born on September 1, 1946 in Douglas, Illinois. His singing family had 5 children, and he was the second. Hugh and Barbara Gibb, Barry's parents, made their home a place where creativity and music could flow easily. This sparked Barry's early interest in music, rhythm, and tune. Barry had a unique talent for writing songs that were both deeply emotional and intricately structured from a very young age. This skill would define his work for more than 6 decades. When the Gibb family moved to Manchester, England, and then to Redcliffe, Queensland, Australia, Barry's musical goals grew, and he found a way to express himself with his younger brother. Maurice and Robin are twin boys. The Bee Gees' creation was nothing less than fate. Barry, Robin, and Maurice started singing together in the late 1950s. It was during these shows that they developed the signature harmonies and vocal blend that would later captivate the world. At first, the group played in small venues in Australia. Their big break came in the 1960s. They got the eye of DJ Bill Gates and producer Robert Stigwood, who brought them to England. From there, their rise was like a rocket. The Bee Gees were linked to multi-genre hits that topped the charts. From beautiful ballads like To Love Somebody and Massachusetts in the 1960s to Staying Alive and other groundbreaking dance hits in the 1970s, Night Fever and How Deep Is Your Love. The group's sound was shaped in large part by Barry, who was the oldest brother and the artistic leader. People knew his voice as an icon. His songs will always be popular, and the way he makes music is completely new. Barry Gibb had his best years in the 1970s when he helped start the disco movement that changed the world, the music scene. Their song Saturday Night Fever from the movie's music became one of the best-selling albums of all time, won them Grammys, and cemented their place as cultural icons. In addition to his success with the Bee Gees, Barry had many other skills. He wrote and produced hits for many singers, such as Barbra Streisand. Kenny Rogers, Diana Ross, and Dolly Parton all have songs called Islands in the Stream. It was amazing how he could change with the times while keeping the emotional core of his songs. This made him one of the most adaptable artists in music history. On the other hand, Barry's trip was not without heartache and trouble. Andy died in 1988, Maurice died in 2003, and Robin died in 1986. 2012 hurt me deeply on an emotional level. Each loss meant the death of a family member and the end of an artistic connection that had been important to him his whole life. Even though these terrible things happened, Barry kept going and honored their memories by continuing to work hard at music. Later solo works, like 2016's In the Now, show a more thoughtful side of him. He shows a personal side of his art that shows how deeply he feels and how wise he is as a man who has seen unimaginable success and deep loss. Barry has often said that he feels his brother's presence when he performs, which suggests that his bond with them goes beyond death and is sealed forever through song. Barry Gibb left a huge mark on the music business. As one of the few, he has influenced artists of all ages and styles as he has written or co-written 16 #1 hits in the United States. He is a member of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and the Songwriters Hall of Fame. In 2018, Queen Elizabeth II decorated him with a knitted cap for his work in music and charity, an honor that shows not only how good his art is, but also how good he is as a person. Sense of kindness. Many artists and songwriters around the world are still influenced by his unique falsetto, deeply personal lyrics, and soulful performances. Barry Gibb's love life has been just as exciting and long-lasting as his famous job. Starting with his first marriage to Maureen Bates and ending with his lasting relationship with for more than 50 years, he has been married to Linda Gray. Each relationship was an important part of his growth as a person. They showed him the difficulties of fame, the strength of love, and the steadiness that helped him do well as a man and an artist. It was 1966 when Barry Gibb married Maureen Bates. He was still a young man on the verge of becoming a famous person around the world. In those early days, the Bee Gees were just getting together, and Barry was juggling the stresses of a new singing career with the duties of marriage. Most people say that Morin was there for the Gibb brothers when they needed mental support and comfort in those early, uncertain years when they were still trying to make a name for themselves. Away from the spotlight of show business, they lived a simple and silent life together. As Barry's fame began to change his life, though, the demands of his quickly rising job put stress on their relationship. It got harder and harder for the young couple to keep up with their normal lives as they went on tour, recorded music, and got more and more attention from the public. They were married for 4 years before getting a divorce in 1970. Their relationship was short, but it was a turning point in Barry's life. It was a time of self-discovery and the mental growing pains that came with becoming an adult in the spotlight. Even though his marriage to Morin didn't last, it taught him a lot about love, loyalty, and the costs that come with being successful. In the same year, Barry met Linda, which was the most important turn of events in his life. Gray, the woman who would not only marry him but also be his rock through decades of happiness and sadness. Linda, who was a former Miss Edinburgh and a Scottish beauty queen, had a quiet power and grace that drew Barry in right away. They met during the Bee Gees' meteoric rise in the early 1970s. At that time, the brothers were going from being hopeful pop artists to becoming worldwide stars. Barry liked Linda right away because she was calm and normal, which was a nice change from the chaos and glitz of the entertainment business. They fell in love quickly and got married on September 1st, 1970. Their marriage would go on to be one of the longest-lasting and most admired in show business history. Linda Gray was the steady one during their marriage. Barry built his life around a strong base. She was not only his romantic partner, but also his emotional safe place. She helped him deal with the stresses of fame, the closeness of family ties, and the creative demands of carrying on the Bee Gees' amazing legacy. They built a family together that showed how close they were, having 5 kids: Stephen, Ashley, Travis, Alexis, and Michael I. While fame and loss did affect their home life from time to time, it was mainly based on love, respect, and a spiritual link. Linda was there for Barry through all of life's big changes. From the Bee Gees' huge success in the disco era to the sad deaths of his brothers Morris and Robin, she stood by him through all of his fights. He was tired, sad, and going through the emotional pain of losing brothers who had been on the same musical journey with him. Barry has said many times in interviews that Linda saved him mentally and emotionally. He has been very open about how her unwavering love kept him grounded and gave him the strength to keep going when his world seemed to fall apart. "My Linda. She was my rock," he once said, emphasizing that her love and loyalty stopped him from giving in to the darker temptations of fame. Many famous marriages have ended because of pressure and public attention, but Barry and Linda's was a rare example of a real partnership in a field where relationships often end quickly. Their love story began more than 50 years ago. 100 years ago is still going strong as they enjoy their later years together in peace, often going to their home in Miami to be with family and memories. Barry Gibb has finally told Cliff Richard how he really feels after decades of being friends, admiring each other, and sometimes being apart. The last Be Alive today is 79 years old. Honest and emotional look back at a relationship that has lasted more than 50 years in the music world, which is always changing. Fans have been guessing for years about what kind of friendship they have. 2 of the most important pop singers of all time, whose careers often crossed paths but whose personalities seem to live in different musical worlds. Barry has never been one to speak without thinking, and now is the right time for him to finally tell Cliff Richard what he really meant to him and how their paths changed each other. Some artists, like Cliff, made me believe that you could be good and famous at the same time. Barry started to think about the first time they met in the 1960s. Cliff stood out because he was calm, humble, and had a strong sense of right and wrong at a time when many artists were caught up in the chaos of fame. Even when the business tried to break him, he never gave up. I thought it was cool that Barry, who had seen the bad things and desires that came with being famous, saw Cliff's stability as a rare trait, a quiet rejection of the darker side of show business. Barry also talked about how Cliff's success caused British artists like him and his brothers to dream bigger. Cliff was already on top of the charts when we were still trying to find our sound. He proved that you could be famous even if you were not American. It's possible that you are English or the whole world would still listen from anywhere. This recognition is especially important because the Bee Gees went on to become global icons who helped define not only pop and disco music, but also a culture era. Barry thought that Cliff Richard's early success helped break down the walls that used to